Hello, my name is Sade, and welcome to Flipped Upside Down, a space for people trying to navigate this thing called life. I'm trying to figure it out, and so are you. So, why not figure it out together? My brain really needed a break after doing that three-part series on conquering your past and unleashing your future. So today we're just going to keep it chill. We're going to have a chill chat. But before we get started, let's take a moment to unwind. If you can, get comfortable and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Open your eyes and smile. So, how are you today? What's been on your mind? Is today a high day or a low day? For me, every day has been a combination of both. It's been both highs and lows. Some days are easier than others. Some minutes are harder than others. But I'm really priding myself in my ability to just push. And I think the videos that I make have been a key factor in that. There's nothing in my videos, honestly, there's nothing in my videos that I haven't said out loud already. The words, the advice, everything that I say, these are all things that I tell my friends on a daily. But I'm the type of person who I'll tell my friends, like, don't be so hard on yourself. Learn to ask for help. I'll tell them those things. And then I'm the same person who, if someone offers to help me, I turn them down. But there's this something about this process of writing and recording and listening that just finally made it all click. I think it has something to do with like the repetition. Because when I have to read my script, I read my script multiple times. And then when I record, I do multiple takes. And then when I'm editing, I'm listening to myself talk, I'm watching the video, and I'm hearing myself over and over and over again. And then over and over and over again when I'm extracting clips, and when I publish, and like, I hear myself talk a lot now. And I think all that repetition is really drilling it into my brain that I am not an exception to the advice that I give. There is nothing uniquely special or different about me, unfortunately or fortunately, that makes it so I am unable to receive the grace and the care that I extend to others. And it's a very comforting realization to have. In a way, this YouTube thing is starting to feel like a visual diary. And I like that. Since completing my last set of videos, I've been racking my brain on how I want the next set of videos to sound like. I've been trying to do this balance of being open and vulnerable, but not too exposed, because at the end of the day, it's the internet that we're on. There are a lot of mean people on here. I've already had to block some people because of some nasty comments that they left. But yeah, I think that's just something that I'm going to have to continue to like navigate as I create more videos and just really try to understand what works for me, or how vulnerable I want to be, and how much of myself I want to protect. Another thing that I've been trying to do is find the right balance of giving advice without sounding preachy, but also not giving advice because I don't have the answers. So, me personally, I don't like watching motivational content because they usually sound like you need to do this if you want to be successful, or you're not successful because you don't do this, or they're just filled with shallow thoughts that come from a place of privilege. And I'm like, That's nice and all, but how am I supposed to do that if I'm broke? Right? Or what if I have certain circumstances that hinder me from giving it my all and going all in? So I did not want to mirror that type of language. I also did not want to jump on the bandwagon of people professing everything that is wrong with this generation because one, there's enough people on the internet that's doing that. And two, I don't think that type of rhetoric is productive because it often fails to acknowledge that the current society is a consequence of socio political structures that are bigger than the average person. We are all victims of varying degrees in this capitalist world, whether we like it or not. And that actually that leads me to another thing that I've been debating, I've been thinking about, and that's if I want this channel to have a political voice. I've been thinking about if I want to include politics and world affairs in my content. I want this to be a safe space, and world issues they're not fun to think about. But I would be lying if I said that the state of the world today does not contribute to some of the unease and anxiety that I have. It's a giant elephant. There's so much going on that even if you're someone who lives under a rock, you've probably heard a thing or two about something that's going on. And for us in the US, it's easy for us to say, this is too much. I don't want to listen. But when your country is actively getting bombed, you don't have the choice but to listen because every single sentence could be the difference between whether you live or die. The people in Iran don't have the luxury to just not care. Trump is making terrifying threats to murder an entire nation. In his own words, he said that a whole civilization will die. That's a very scary thing for anyone to say, for anyone to think about. Israel does not think that they're causing enough harm with the things that they're doing in Palestine. So now they're increasing their efforts in Lebanon. Over 1 million Lebanese people have been displaced from their homes due to active threats from Israel. And it's crazy to think that the people who are in support of this atrocious acts of violence and genocide are the same people asking why we're not talking about Congo. I don't know if oh, so there's a billboard. It threw me off when I saw it. I was either driving into or out of SF. It's somewhere in the Bay Area, Sha. I don't know if it's still up. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it threw me back when I saw it. It was paid for by a pro-Israeli organization. And I'm not going to say the name, but they paid for the giant billboard to be put up that says, protesting Israel, but silent on Congo. Makes you wonder why. I was shocked because, one, what are you insinuating? Actually, that's that's a stupid question because we know exactly what they're trying to say. It's not a coincidence that they chose an African country, and it's such an insidious thing to do because they do make an excellent point. Not enough of the Western discourse focuses on the plight of African nations, probably because it would mean admitting the role that they have played in the destabilization of Africa as a whole. So yes, yes, we do need to talk about Congo. We do need to talk about Rwanda, but we can't let our foot off of the necks of Israel. And I'm Nigerian, so I'm also tuned into the Nigerian news and the stuff that's happening. So last week there was a mass shooting. Which mass shooting? Great question. Nigeria's problem is a lot, and it's so much more complicated than the nonsense Nicki Minaj and Trump were trying to push, whatever rhetoric that they were trying to push. It's much, much more complicated than that. So, on top of Niger's plenty problems, I now have to add the US, and then Congo, Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Venezuela, Ukraine, Russia, North Korea, and now there are talks of a China, Japan, Taiwan conflict. I'm all, the cake gets built. It's a lot. It's a lot. It is a lot. And I understand why we would want to shut it all out and give ourselves some peace. But it's very important, I believe, for us to stay informed. There are so many conspiracies out there. The government is feeding us a lot of crap, and we should not allow ourselves to be satiated by their words. This is nothing new. Propaganda was not invented in 2026, but in 2026, we should all know what propaganda is. If we're going to fight whichever battle you choose to take arms for, let's make sure that we actually know what it is that we are fighting for. And I personally believe that choosing ignorance is a political statement in and of itself. So I'm not planning on remaining ignorant. So in my content, you may see, I may talk about world news here and there. Yeah, I think that's the conclusion that I've made for that. Onto something a little lighter though. Look at my oregano. I don't have the plant. I'll put a picture somewhere. Look at my oregano. It used to be dead. I thought it was dead. I honestly thought it was dead. I procrastinated in getting it into a bigger pot, so it suffered. And I truly thought that this thing was dead. No, I only kept watering it because I was too lazy to throw it away. I was like, "Ugh, it doesn't hurt." Oh, and now it's turning green. It's sprouting. It's coming back to life. There's probably an anecdote somewhere in there. I'll leave that for you to figure it out. I also started reading my book. Finally, I started this week, All About Love by Bell Hooks. It took a couple of weeks, but I told y'all that I would eventually start it. And I did. Yay. There's a line in there that I read. It says, much of what we were taught about the nature of love makes no sense when applied to the daily life. And I feel that. For the past couple of months, I've been talking to my friends about my past relationship and theirs, and it feels like we're all in this weird, convoluted romantic dynamic. like, like the state of dating relationships, it's interesting. I don't know. I don't know if it's the nature of our age or a symptom of the times, but none of us are following the textbook how to guidelines to love. Uh, I've come to coming to understand that love is very complicated. It's a very complicated thing, and choosing to be with someone is not an indication of how much you love them or how much they don't love you. And while I am coming to understand that, I'm still struggling to wrap my head around the idea that love is not enough. It's an idea that runs counter to the fairy tale love conquers all, happily ever after stories that we've been fed since childhood. Um, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to finishing the book. Let's see what else we'll get from it. Oh, and my feet are semi-healed. If you remember last video, I said I went dancing in some bad shoes and couldn't walk. Because of my feet, I actually was not able to finish my 4 weeks intro to pole and burlesque. I only did 2 out of the 4 weeks, And I don't feel like I got what I wanted out of it during those 2 weeks. So I'm planning to register with the theater for another month and try out pole and burlesque, not just pole and burlesque, but the other classes as well that they offer. They have a chair class, they have a flexibility class, a movement class. So really excited to try those out and then come back and give my breakdown. So the body video is on pause. My goal at the end of this is to fall in love with my body. And by the second week of burlesque, I could feel myself loosening up a bit. So I'm excited to see how much more comfortable I can become with myself now that I'm going into this with more intentions. But yeah, I think that is all that I have for today. This is a different format, but I do appreciate you joining me for today's chill chats. I really like the idea of doing these chill sessions maybe every fourth or fifth episode as a way to kind of reset myself, reset us mentally, emotionally. Well, it's not every week that should be serious. Not every day, not every week should we be having deep talks, deep chats, philosophizing, having philosophical discussions. Yeah. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this format. If you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Upside Down Flipped. And if there is anything you would like to hear me talk about, please let me know. Like I said in the intro, we are a community and I want to know what's on our minds. Until next time, bye. Oof, I have to do my taxes. Oh, yeah, taxes are due this week, April 15th. Don't let the IRS get you.